How do you recover from a joke that does not land well?
When does that happen?
Ooh.
That's never happened. Welcome to Hot Mic in 30. I'm Nate Rodgers. It's always a joy to be with you. Listen, we are going to laugh like crazy today. Of course, the one and only, the lovely Bionce Foxx is here.
I'm so happy to be here, too.
Hey,
Hot Mic in 30, Nate. Are you excited today?
I'm excited. You know what? Why I'm excited? I'm excited because it's the summertime in Chicago, first of all.
Summertime shy, nothing like it.
Right, and our next guest talk about Chicago.
Woo!
I don't know if they're ready, Beyonce.
When I say Chicago icon, Chicago
What?
mogul, Chicago, what other words can I throw out real quick? Chicago, this man is incredible.
30 years in the game, plus.
More than 30.
More than 30, BET.
Yes, BET, Comic View.
Netflix.
Kings of Comedy. The original Kings of Comedy was Steve
Tom
Harvey.
Joyner. Tom Joyner.
What? Film,
Is somebody else
movies,
coming?
whatever.
He's been all over.
Let's go ahead and introduce the great Damon Williams.
Hey. Well, I hope I live up to the hype at this point.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Man, I want y'all to know, off camera, we have been dying laughing already. So y'all get ready. This is going to be pretty good.
I'm bracing my stomach.
Yes.
Damon, it's so happy to have you here.
Glad
dude.
to be
Thank
here.
you.
Thank you for asking.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you,
I can
thank
do
you,
it.
thank you. You've been doing your thing, like we mentioned, more than 30 years.
Yeah.
And you have been in rooms with some of the greats. I mean, worldwide, not just here in Chicago, but worldwide. I'm talking Aretha Franklin, Jamie Foxx, Ray Charles. Do you hear this list of people?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody but Eddie Murphy. Can you believe that?
Man.
I'm
You
working
still
on
wanna
that.
be
Yes,
Eddie
we can
Murphy.
make
You
that
know,
happen.
you
let me
talk
tell
about
you,
that.
man.
That's your
man.
thing.
And I went to the Arsenio taping when he rebooted the show, and Eddie was on the show. And my man G Thing got me in the building and backstage. We in the green room. We met Arsenio, kicked it with him for a second, and I'm like, finally, here it comes. And Eddie's security put up and said, "Clear it out.
Oh, wow.
Nobody back here."
Oh, wow.
I'm like, I'm with Arsenio. Arsenio, get your ass from back here. I'm like, dang.
You couldn't meet him.
Didn't meet him yet.
Yeah. So, Damon, when did you find out that, okay, this is my calling, this is my gift, I want to make people laugh? How old were you? What phase of your life were you in? Were you young, teenager, what?
Well, I enjoyed comedy from like very early on. I always used to watch late night talk shows to catch the comedians. And I'm talking, the Don Rickles and, not just the black comedians,
Right.
because it was very few at the time. So
Yeah.
Bob Hope would come on TV. When anybody that went on like the Tonight Show, if I could stay up, I would catch the comedians. And then you had people like Franklin Ajayi, who was a very socially conscious comic way before. He was The Fly and Car Wash, and he's done a bunch of other stuff. Franklin, a professor now, he a cold dude. Richard Pryor, we listen to the music. So I say the albums, I say music. But then as the late '80s rolled around, Eddie Murphy popped on the scene with Delirious, and that was the first ever rented video that I'd seen. We had to go to the video store back then.
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
No, it's before
Yep,
Blockbuster.
yep.
It was
Before
a
Blockbuster,
corner store. Blockbuster came in and shut down the mom and pops. It was the Walmart, the video store. And to hell with them, and I'm glad they went out of business because they still on my credit for them late fees. But that being said, man, so I've always been in tune. But then Eddie made it, like superstar status, but then Def Comedy Jam made it accessible. Because once comics got on HBO and it was selling, then opportunities open all over the country. All jokes aside, open here in Chicago, which happened to be the preeminent black comedy club, or preeminent comedy club as it was, because it was upscale. And that's why I went and got started.
So during your early days, which ones stick out the most? Comic View. A lot of people love you from Comic View, man.
Yeah.
Comic View was it,
That
to
was
be
it.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Comic View was it. Because I auditioned several times for Def Comedy Jam, and a brother, the producer, Bob Sumner, who is in recovery from some things. God bless Bob Sumner. I thought I was ready, but they didn't. Right. And then when I looked at what I was doing, when I thought I was ready, they probably did me a favor. But Def Jam was like the explosion, and that made household names like Bernie and Adele here in Chicago, and Cheryl Underwood, Sid, Steve, all them pop from that. DL blew up on Comic View as the host.
Okay.
And the beauty of Comic View versus Def Jam, that's why sometimes you never know what the guy has in store. I didn't get the Def Jam, and I had auditioned 3 times, but on the 4th time I'd audition, I was the host of the audition, and the hosts always get picked. So I just knew I'm in this time. I'm killing it, and they laughing, blah, blah, blah. Didn't get picked. But the material that I used for that, I actually took to Comic View. And Comic View was a competition at the time. And if you won your rounds, then you got a comedy special. So the set I used, I would have never repeated both. It got me to my special on Comic View. And here's the thing, Def Jam aired once. Comic View was on 6 nights a week, and they ran out of original programs, so they would rerun them.
Look at
So if you got on Comic View, it's like a
Wow.
commercial. So
Yeah.
that's how that worked.
So you kept doing it.
Yeah.
Wow. But let's back up just a little bit. Before that, you already had like a businessman mindset.
Right.
You had a sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Subway.
A
Yeah.
Subway.
I'm gonna tell you something about this. I was the first African American and youngest franchisee in the chain.
What?
Because I might not have been the first black, but I
Okay.
know I was the first one in our area black, and the youngest. I was 25,
Wow.
and that chain hadn't taken off yet.
Okay.
And Subway still struggles versus AP Deli or Mr. Submarine because they put the fat sandwiches. Subway had this formulated way that you have to put a certain amount per sandwich, the very strict controls. So I'm right across the street from Mr. Submarine. Then Fantano's opened up next door, and I'm downtown by Harold Washington College. So it was going bad. In fact, that franchise wasn't doing well until Jared. Jared, when he lost the weight and it became a dietary eat fresh, that's when they changed their slogan. Because their whole initiative, and I don't mean to dwell on it, was to be the number one franchise in locations. So they weren't worrying about making the franchises healthy. The founder, his name was Phil DeLuca, and I met him. He was a good dude. Wanted to be the most locations. So there would be 3 Subways within walking distance. Downtown, it was cool.
Right.
And that's how I found out about All Jokes Aside. But yes, I was an entrepreneur. That was always my goal, to not have to work. I had one serious job at City Hall. I worked there for 5 years. I retired at age 25 when they got my little funds down. Literally had to retire because I was trying to do a leave of absence, but I had just done one a year before. And they said, we're not going to give you the summer off again, to go open this business. So I took the leap. And mama, you know how your mama, you going to quit that good city job? Yes, because I sat in that office with a bunch of people who had been there 30 years, and I was like, if I don't leave now, this is going to be my fate, and I didn't want that to be me.
Yeah, I feel
I love that. Wow. But whether it's Martha's Vineyard, whether it's Def Comedy Jam, or even your Father's Day special that you did, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What do you think is synonymous about your brand, that when people see you on stage, they know they're gonna laugh, but what is it specifically about you that so many of your fans love?
Well, it's the I'm consistently doing new material.
Okay. Are you writing it yourself?
Of course, I don't even take jokes that people offer me because it's a craft for me.
Okay.
So it'd be like coming in and Picasso letting somebody paint a few lines on his page.
Plagiarism.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm just saying, even if they enhance the painting, he didn't do it.
Right. Yep.
So that's my philosophy on that. Now, if I get to a level where I shoot a special or when I shoot my special, and I have to go out on the road again, and I need another hour, because you shouldn't do your special material on the road, because the special is what brings people to see you, so they saw it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what certain comics have run into in recent times. So the preparation is you should do 2 hours. You should have 2 hours prepared. So the one goes up for the masses, and the second one tours the country following up the special.
Okay.
So the reason why people know they can come, a lot of times it's spontaneous. A lot of it, I don't even know what I'm going to say, especially when I'm hosting. And in Chicago specifically, I'm known as a host.
Yeah.
And, I use my wit, and I'm in the moment, or what happened on the way today.
Dude, I was going to say, the first time, well, not the first time, one of the times I saw you recently, I think it was last year, you hosted the Chicago Urban League event.
Yes.
And I was just in the audience, and I just saw you work the room.
Yes.
And, Beyonce and I host different things from time to time, too, but sometimes I can be an overthinker. I got to just write down, like, some talking points in between. This dude,
off the dome.
he don't,
and that's
it's easy for
Well,
you.
look at the size of this dome.
that's one of the things that I
Seriously.
really love about you and respect from you. I mean, I've heard some of the greats, and I've been to several shows over the years, and you're right. You sit there, well, I don't really buy a ticket, but you sit there and you watch, and you're like, well, I just heard this last time I saw you. But with Damon, it's a different story. And you're so off the cuff. Like, you walked that room. You went through tables, and you were like, hey. And we were just dying laughing, and I love that. Quick wit.
Quick wit.
Well, that room at the time, it needed it because it was so much bigger than the Urban League has been.
Sure.
Toy Salter took it to a next level, and it's hard to captivate that audience because what happens is it's the elite of Chicago.
Yeah.
And they're all important, and they're all networking, and they're all dressed up. So you're not going to just get them to focus on you. So you have to take the focus off of me and put it on them. So I went around and I talked about who's in the Greek organization and who this and the other. But I also said, if you're out of pocket, you're going to catch it. Right? So because it comes to times when you have to harness all of that. And people don't understand. Me and you talking, just me and you talking. And me and you talking, just me and you talking. But it's 1,500 people doing that. Now it's a rumble.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
so you have to do it. Jesse Jackson, may he rest in peace, senior. I follow one of his moves. I saw him at, maybe it might have been the Urban League, or one time he was speaking, and now all that chatter was going, and he just said, shh.
Wow.
And people hear shush, and they shush.
And they should.
And then he's like, shh. And he said, tap the next person next to you. Shh.
Wow.
And now you got him. But now once you got him, you got to give him
gotta
something
keep
to
'em.
keep him.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
got
the
you.
whole dynamic of that. And that's why they bring me back, I'm pretty sure.
So you know how to fill the room. Are there times when you're preparing for different gigs where are there certain things that you really do stay away from because you don't want to offend people? Like whether it's politics, whether it's saying the N-word too many
Right.
times, and you don't want to make people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're not doing that. So
Like, how do you gauge that?
I mean, it's carte blanche. It's it's a la carte. It's what the show is, what it calls for, not carte blanche. But anyway, it's a la carte. So if I know my audience, for instance, in that room, you have corporate sponsors.
Sure.
So I'm representing the Urban League. Now, what I'll do to diffuse that is I'll say none of the views expressed by me are those of the Urban League, their sponsors, their subsidiaries, or anybody here ready to donate. Now it's on me. And then I say, laugh tonight, be serious tomorrow. That's my slogan. So it kind of offsets that. But still in all, it's appropriate for what? Like if I do a church show, I'm not going to do the same things I do at Riddles. You know what I mean? Because so it's tailored to the event.
And it's basically reading the room and just knowing your audience.
Yeah, and wanting to be invited back. Because some people are like, well, I got to do me regardless. If I ain't funny, if I don't do me, well, okay, do you, but you're going to do you once.
Right.
I've done the Urban League 14 times.
Yeah, that's amazing. So do you practice in front of family, or is it just up here and you just let it go when it's time to get in front of the audience?
At this point, it's like, it's organic. And I won't even know by talking to somebody. Now, in a conversation, my brain is trained to think, after 33 years, that's funny. So if I say something or I hear something that I can enhance and make a bit, then I already know when I do it, it's going to be funny.
Yeah.
And very rarely does it not work at this point.
Yeah.
But I do write out bullet points, or I'll text myself. And then before I go on stage, depending on the setting, I'll look at my points. You know what I mean? Because what happens is, if you're on, especially an ensemble comedy show, you might have something planned to do, and then 3 people before you, especially if you're closing, might reach the topic already.
Yeah.
So now you either got to reiterate what they said, or you got to omit it.
Oh, I see.
So it's a science, but it's also it's still organic, because sometimes I'll have a plan and I don't stick to that script at all.
Yeah. But that's just a script. I want to get into like preparation. Like with your comedy, you're not only just talking, but you're singing. You're doing little movements. And so do you do those movements?
No,
you rehearse them in advance to make sure it don't look
that's in the
wrong?
moment. That's in the moment.
That's all in the moment.
Yeah, the physicality of my humor also comes because I don't even know where it comes from sometimes, because I don't plan
You're just
it.
a
But if
damn
I'm talking,
fool.
so if I'm talking about somebody with a little hitch, I'm gonna do the hitch. If it's an old guy, I'm gonna be the old guy,
Right.
and that just comes. So it's improv, but it's really a blessing and a gift as well.
Yeah. How do you recover from a joke that does not land well?
When does that happen?
Ooh.
That's never happened. That's happened.
Hey man, who you
I
talking
don't
to?
know.
player?
I know.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
just-
know with Damon.
No,
I
here's the
don't
thing
know.
though.
I don't know.
No, it's rare. It happens, but what?
It's rare.
But,
It's rare. It happens.
Super
when
rare.
it does happen, or if it does happen, it's usually something that I'm just trying, and they'll probably sense that it was new because it's something I'm trying to do right here in the moment. Or if it's something that was a current event that just happened on the press today, naturally that's not a prepared joke because Trump dumbass did it today. So
Right.
but what I'll do though, and I teach young comics this too, is you don't acknowledge that was the point where they were supposed to laugh. You just keep talking. Like that wasn't even a punchline. And then but whenever I try something new, it might be right after a really great joke.
Okay.
And then I'll slip in that new one, but I already mentally prepared to follow it with another great joke, whether it works or not.
And sometimes you can kind of treat your own self and be like, okay, well, that didn't land well.
Oh
or
yeah,
something
definitely
like that.
self-depreciating.
Yeah.
Well, they love to see you
Yeah.
talk bad about yourself. You're like, oh well, that sucked. That didn't
right.
get what I thought. It was
That's-
funnier in the car. That type
Yes,
thing. Yeah,
That's hilarious to me.
Right.
So it's going to be a win-win either way.
Right. Yeah.
So, Damon, let's talk about this. This is huge because of social media. First of all, 2 components of the social media piece. There are so many people who think they're a comedian because they get laughs on social media
Yeah.
and they get thousands and hundreds of thousands of likes. What are your thoughts on that? Because being a comedian, that is a craft.
Right.
That's not something that anybody can do. I can't do it. Nate can't do it. The
Yes,
person
you
in
can.
No, I don't know,
You
sir.
hold your own in
No,
live
no, no, no.
audiences. I saw you.
Nah.
Where was we just at? Babyface was the last one? No.
I don't know.
We were out at the casino at Hard Rock.
Oh, yeah. That was
Yeah,
a
I
minute
popped
ago.
up. No, it was Stephanie Mills.
Right. Stephanie
Yeah,
Mills and Shalimar.
And,
yes.
and I
this
came and
guy's
did a little
hilarious.
pop up, right? And she was like, "Do you want to do the rest?" Like, no, you got it. And it's difficult because they're moving equipment and all that, but she held it down and she know what to do. Crowd motivate. The question though.
Yeah. The whole social media piece.
Yeah.
What do you feel about this new age comedian?
See, here's the
on
thing.
social media?
So Bob Sumner, once again, I'll give him credit for. He coined the phrase social medians. And a lot of traditional comics, which I consider myself traditional stand-up comics, a lot of them are not happy with the fact that these new wave comics are coming on the scene and they're kind of taking up some of the weeks in the clubs and they're selling the tickets and the people are supporting that because they believe that that's comedy. But they're younger people. The people that grew up on stand-up know the difference. And a lot of times there are some that have been able to transition over into the stand-up world. And some that just rely on their selling the seats and then they come as a gimmick, or they'll put for the real comedians, not to say they're not real comedians, but other traditional comedians to fill that time. But their fans are so into them that they don't really care if they super funny. They just want the picture and the photo out because they're part of their lives. So it's it's that. But I do say that I don't have a problem with any of them being successful or doing their thing because they're in the age that they came about. So if you come into this and this is what you have to use, you use that. We had Social Jam at the Apollo, BET's Comedy View, Def Comedy Jam, these mediums, Comedy Central.
Right.
If you made it to those shows, you're a working comic. For them, if you get 500,000 followers, you're a working artist or you're a social median. And then the clubs will look at your numbers and say, okay, they can fill the seats. But what happens is they'll come, and if they're not prepared, they'll only be able to do that once. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So the audiences have fallen off when they make their second and third round because they were like, yeah, the hype is gone. So I encourage them to, if you're going to do something like that, present other comedians. Grab you some OGs and bring them with you. And you come and host your event. Now your fans get a chance to see you. You get a chance to play around. You get a chance to be funny. Then you hand it off to the next guy. Then you come back out and you do little stuff. And if that didn't work, you have 2 or 3 more opportunities because you're the host. So that's my advice to that. But I'm not mad at them at all.
Right.
Do you feel like this era of social media is making even the OGs work harder? Because it's not just like showing up at a comedy club.
Well, you have to evolve.
You got to tweet. And
It's still a competition, if you will, right?
Well, it's a blood sport. Comedy's a blood.
yeah.
Even if we all friends on the same show, we all trying to be
Absolutely.
that dude.
Yeah.
It's a competition.
It's competition.
But we're not in competition with them. It's a totally different niche. But it's the spaces that they take up in the comedy clubs. For instance, if you're a comedy club comedian, or if you're doing theaters, and here comes this person, and now these people already spent their money on that person. That's the only competition wise. But I feel like this, if you're an OG but you want to be relevant, you better do what's current, right? Now you ain't got to pander and sell your soul. But at least get your Instagram and your Facebook and your social media up and engage. Yeah. Because our audience, I'm at an age where a lot of my audience members are no longer even coming out. I've been doing this 33 years, and when I did it 33 years ago, my audience members were in their 20s and 30s. I did do a college run for about 10 years of my career, so I think that's extended my relativity to some people because I have people come up to me like, man, you did my homecoming in 2007. And now he a professor or a doctor. Or, what I mean? Wow. I had one guy come up and he's like, man, I met my fiance at your show, and he had 2 grown twins with him. And one is a physician, and I don't know what the son did, but he was like, this is my daughter. She a doctor. This is my son. Wow. So anyway, I was like, dang, what the son? Anyway, but those experiences are amazing. And that's kept me relevant with those people.
Yeah. So the other component to the social media piece as it relates to comedy is cancel culture. A couple years back, boy, some comedians people were letting them have it.
Right.
Certain things that you can say and not say, whether it's regarding politics or people's personal habits or drug addiction or just things like that. that it's kind of like if you say it and you're a comedian, you could probably get away with it, but
Right.
you can still get canceled even as a comedian.
Well, it's the thing about that. And like, I don't subscribe to cancel culture, and I prep my audience in advance by saying, if you laugh tonight, be serious tomorrow. You came for jokes, you're going to get the jokes. The trend is reversing now because at one point, and no disrespect to the movement, but the Me Too movement set that off, the cancel situation. And then it, kind of expanded into other areas, not just, harassment in that area, but, lifestyle, disabilities, politics, all of these things became cancelable. Seniors, it's groups of people. It's a hashtag movement for everything. Yeah. So they kind of oversaturated us with that. And then this idiot got in office and became politically incorrect on a daily basis, which made decorum and morality and sensitivity and sensibility decrease. Now everybody feels empowered to be able to say whatever you want to say because Goofball is saying all the goofy stuff. And it works in our favor to an extent as comedians. But I felt like, here's my motto for that. And I don't care what the circumstance is. If you tell a joke about a subject or a topic or an individual, if they laughed, then you did it correctly. So no matter how taboo it is. So if it's, a person in a wheelchair and you do a wheelchair joke and the person sitting in the wheelchair can laugh at it, you succeeded. If you do a joke about deaf people, right? And it's deaf people laughing, then clearly sign language, because how did they hear it? That being said,
Damon, don't get this podcast canceled now, Damon.
They not listening to your podcast.
We're going to make sure we have that disclaimer at the beginning and end. The opinions and views here are not
to your podcast.
Beyonce and Nate, just this one.
Right. So that's my point, though, see? So if, for instance, somebody just read my lips and heard and decided what I just said, they would be laughing at that. So that's the key. Right. So it's tact, but there are categories of comedy that, play to the taboo. Yeah. And their audience comes for that. So it's a whole category called cringe comedy where they try to be as disgusting as possible and as inappropriate as possible. And they come for that.
As we see in these roasts.
Yeah. Now, see that roast. That's a
Most
perfect
recently,
example.
With Kevin Hart's roast.
Let's talk about it real quick. Do
Man.
you agree with folks that have said, hey, some of the jokes went too far? And then also the part B is, what do you think of Kevin's response to the world when all of that went down?
See, roast the roast form in its essence should not be televised. It should be in a room with just people who came to see that. But it's gotten so popular. The Dean Martin roast used to be a big thing back in the day. Oh, yeah. And Don Rickles did all the racial humor. He was racist as hell in his jokes, but he hit everybody. But it was acceptable. Now, culture is so sensitive. And the really tricky part about this is the black people that were offended by the black racist jokes. When black comedians, we've been tearing white people up forever, and they couldn't respond to it because it was, the guilt complex, right? Because they did the foul things. They've been the majority. They've been the racists. They've harmed us. So out of guilt, they couldn't respond to it, and they had to accept it. Now, when it comes to the masses seeing a roast, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Why do you say it shouldn't be?
Because there's always going to be somebody offended by this. It was too many topics to be offended by. So if you're going to do it on that scale, you got to have a disclaimer up top. It's insensitive, it's racial, or you got to take the backlash because everybody. And then maybe if people were offended in the past, we would never know because we couldn't get the feedback from the social media. So now everybody's opinion is visible, right?
Good point.
So that means even the quacks and the bots and all the people we arguing with on these social media platforms would just be crazy people in their room talking to themselves or on the street corner. Now it's a mass platform for us all to be heard. So that's the drawback from it. But I feel like nothing is sacred in comedy if you do it with proper tact, right? So Cheryl Underwood, they talked about her husband who committed suicide. Yeah. And they pre-warned her of that. And she said, just be funny if you do it, right? Goodness. And, but she's joked about it. And that's what gave them, the leeway to feel like it's something that they could talk about. Yeah. And then everybody else is offended for her when she wasn't as offended. And it's not shucking and jiving, and it's not, kowtowing. They said just as bad thing. The guy, Tony Hinchcliffe, which I'm not a fan of or not condoning what he does. They called him gay, pedophile, racist, 10 times. And that's why I'm not a roast dude, because you have to sit there and be like,
Right.
and
you,
take
you've
it.
been from Chicago, you'll be ready to fight.
Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to roasting, man, I just say this. If you don't want to be offended, don't watch the roast. If you know what a person does, so say, for instance, if you go to a comedy show, you plan on going, go online, watch a 5-minute clip on that person and decide if it's for you or not. Yeah. Now, don't sit there and watch all the clips and then come to the show and say, well, I saw that on YouTube. Don't watch it first, but at least get a gist of what you're coming to see. And then don't come with your feelings. Come with.
So you don't think, though, that certain things are just off limits? I heard not.
You got to do it properly.
Now, I mean, like the death
the,
of George Floyd properly. How do you do that?
I didn't say that was a proper situation. He didn't do it right. He didn't read the room. But trust me when I tell you, his fan base ate that up. Mm-hmm. So what his thought process is, I'm getting paid by Netflix. I'm going to appeal to my base, and they're going to love me for this. And that's what happened. So, yes, it was inappropriate. That's why I say roasts are not for everybody, and it shouldn't be on a mass scale as it is right now. But Netflix is a choice. Netflix is a subscription. So you had to go and find that roast to be offended by it. Mm-hmm. If you come in to be offended, don't go to the roast.
Well, last couple of questions, at least for me. My lady says you are one of the most, we hate to use the word underrated, but everybody in Chicago and all over loves you. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Damon, are there times when you kind of get in your feelings a little bit and say, damn, I wish I was at the level, even though you are pretty damn successful, MCing everything, but are there times that you wish you had
the underrated label
of everybody else?
See, money and fame come with a price. Okay, so you look at Martin Lawrence, for instance. I love Martin Lawrence, and Martin Lawrence rose to meteoric status and had everything you can get, and then was running out in traffic talking about they trying to get me with a hot sweatsuit on in 100-degree weather. Mm-hmm. Something caused that. There's a price that comes with it. Now, do I aspire on a daily basis to ascend to a higher level? Yes, indeed, always. Okay. But has my journey been fulfilling enough to the point where I'm satisfied and have no regrets? That as well. I mean, I've toured the world. I've raised my son. I've bought homes. I have a boat. I've been around every place. I've worked with the greats of the greats. I've been in, like she said, rooms. Some people have been in rooms with me, because I say that because I'll get there and I'm thinking, how you doing, Mr. Aretha Franklin? I'm Damon Williams. I know who you are, young man. I've been watching you, blah, blah, blah. That joke you do about. Yes. So that's, and then when you think about the travels that I've had, and I haven't punched the clock since 1989. Wow. Right? And I do what I love, right? Wow. So, here it is, it's 2026, 27, 28, whenever you see this. Mm-hmm. And I get up and I do what I do, and all I'm doing is making people happy. Yeah. Yes. So to do that for a living and to still be able to take care of my mother and, and live my life and travel and not have to punch a clock or answer to anybody to an extent is beautiful. Now, do you think I want to remain underrated? Hell no. So this is the time, America, while I'm still got my wits about me.
Netflix, if you listen.
I still got my looks about me. Yeah, I can still play a younger dude if I put a ball cap on. I'm trying to do all the things.
And just real quick, though, what is your next goal? What is that next thing that you want to do?
The special. I have to do the definitive 1-hour special. I want the special to be the one that sits next to Bring the Pain and Delirious. Yes. And, Richard Pryor is something I said. And, so that's, the material's all there, but we're our own worst critics. So I could have been compiled the hour that I want to do, but that's the move. Yeah. Wow. So, and it's coming, and I may do it here in Chicago. I told the audience in my last show that I want to do it.
You from Chicago?
Yeah, but then,
I told y'all
you have to.
Sometimes people appreciate you more when you're not from there. You know what I mean?
Not a prophet.
But the crib always holding me down. Yes. But to work on it, I want to work on it here. But I don't want people to come and see stuff they already saw because it's not. Comedy's not like a concert, music concert where you can sing a song 1,000 times. They want to hear it 1,001. Wow. There's a surprise element to comedy. But I told my audience I want to have my name back up on the Chicago Theater marquee because I was only on there once and I was a special guest of a major artist. And I think it was Gladys Knight. I didn't get the picture on the way in because I was going to do it on the way out. And when I came out, they had already changed the marquee. Wow. Yeah, so now
we gotta make that happen.
For my anniversary in comedy in 2027, I want to headline the Chicago Theater.
It's gonna happen.
And let's just go ahead and bring the cameras and make it the special too.
Hey.
Yes.
Speak those things that are not as though they were.
Indeed.
Yes.
Damon Williams, thank you, sir. We appreciate you for coming on.
Man, had to be here. And I'll come back. 30 is not enough. We come back and do another 30.
We're doing
Okay,
part
let's
two.
do it. Hot
Yeah,
mic in 30.
That's
Make
young
sure,
boys getting down. It take me 30 minutes for foreplay.
Oh,
Lord.
here we go.
Hot mic in 30. Make sure you
Yeah.
like, subscribe, share. You can check us out on YouTube. Just search Hot mic in 30.
That's a wrap. See you all next time.